December 2017. December 4th, 2017. Pyrex lunch bowls with lids. Nude palette from Target. December 8th, 2017. Proofed copy notes. Page 199 is blank for some reason. Page 407 is blank for some reason. 458, the palace should be a chapter heading. Mousy friend, you're sweet and cute, but you did so offend. You came into my house, you see, somewhere you shouldn't ever be, and yourself so comfortable to let you stay I was not able. So I took you, my mousy friend, somewhere you could not offend, a deep dark place outside your cover. Your friends are left there in a wonder. Who could have happened to their mousy friend? They're cute and sweet, who did offend. December 10th, 2017. Chi Chepi DeviantArt, very good. Must learn from. December 11th, 2017. No symptoms for weeks. Keep looking for them and not getting blinks or responses. Still can't unsee the music, but that's a small price to pay to have this little peace of mind I can have. Book I almost edited completely, and then it's just a matter of remaking the book files and it should be good to go. December 14th, 2017. Overcoming fight or flight responses. If the worst thing that happens is uncomfortable momentarily or upset initially at the intrusion, the best bet is to coming to terms with the effect of the intrusion affecting your life is minimally had and hard to get to. You're going to get angry because it'll keep happening. It's harder to interact with the issue when others are around you who monitor your emotional state. It's becoming a juggling act of being okay with being bothered while trying to stay calm and react normally. It is hard to do considering you want it to stop in part, and in another part, you're curious about exactly what is going on. You've been told these things aren't real, so you have to assume you're ill. It's par for the course. You no longer get to dictate what's real anymore because your set for reality testing is clearly broken. You've been diagnosed. If the issue were not so goading or derogatory, then it would be easier to get a handle on, but they seem minded to push buttons for their own enjoyment. A mistake, they called it, on their end. They forced a bad reaction by forcing the issue again. It becomes a matter of what the point in discussing anything if you're going to just be a dick every time, and why does it even matter? Mentally ill people don't magically suddenly become ill. There's always a form of history that can be related to it. If the wall started singing to you when you were a teen and you saw people that weren't there, and you have a history of constant abuse, you'll likely reciprocate those feelings on others without realizing it's negative. Doesn't mean you can't learn not to do it, but there's no point in griefing a mentally ill person with clearly ill behavior. The version of reality doesn't mesh to norms, but it doesn't mean that they would do anything ill again if they could help it, because once the lesson is taught, there's no reason not to continue. Those lessons must take place. Reality testing comes in many forms, and mentally ill people do it in an ill way. They don't know better until they learn better. If the parents of a child teach them nothing but anger and hate, then that child likely can be angry and hateful from an early age. I know this from experience. If they've been taught at a later time to not be as angry or to realize the pointlessness of abject hatred, then they may change for the better as long as the epiphany is self-realized in some form, either through decisive action or thought. People make mistakes and are often given the chance to learn from them. Either the person grows up a bit or they remain juvenile and stuck in their old ways. Some make worse mistakes than others, and if they're lucky, they go unnoticed and the mistake maker learns from it. Sometimes they're forced to own up to the mistake in some form of public eye, breaking a mother's vase and the parents finding out, for instance. It makes the mistake maker take a harder path because the added beliefs of those that find the mistake throw weight against the mistake maker's own morals, which can aid or lead to the detriment of the mistake maker's own learning process or even destroy it completely. It depends on the severity of the mistake is rated as by the community and the mistake maker's own ability to understand the weight of the mistake while being able to handle the punishment given as dictated by the society. Though if the mistake goes unfounded, then the mistake maker's path is much easier to carry on with if they're lucky enough to understand their mistake and change on their own. Like if a person grew up hating other people but thought through his own actions with other people, found them to be nothing like what they originally were thought to be, then that person would have grown. Then there is a matter of unforgivable. The mistakes made that offer no penance is seen by the community because of their strangeness, violence, or derangement. Those are the sort of mistakes very few of any mistake makers survive. They are path-changing, life-destroying mistakes. but only a few actually make these types of mistakes and as such are given severe responses and punishments. Some would say that a mistake maker should have known better, but then how do you determine what level of mistake is forgivable if most people have different sets of morals to comb through and collate? A person who was raised to abuse is going to abuse without knowing it to be different until they are taught not to, or if they are lucky enough are shown that it's okay not to. If they're lucky like me, they don't, and they become a semi-normal personality unless they are deemed unforgivable and the mistake maker is seen as lost value, valueless, or negative to the community as a whole existence. Murder, torture, vile abuse. I want to build a generator to power underdeveloped areas first. December 20th, 2017. Things to consider when traveling with schizo disorders. The delusions that people are talking about while you're sitting in a terminal or waiting in the TSA line to have your bags checked can be worrying and often not something you want to have to deal with. So there are things you can do to limit the chance of having bad interactions with people. They are as follows. Take your meds before you start traveling. For our most recent trip, I asked for an anti-anxiety medication because I have anxious reactions even when I'm not outright psychotic. The thought of having the delusions happening brings on a flight or fight response that I find most often than not impossible to cut out and overcome in the moment. I have to get away from the offending simulation or I start to get sick, and I have to take a few deep breaths. I was given 1 milligram of lorazepam and took it with my morning risperidol, and it seems to work a treat. I was able to sit in a crowded airplane terminal and not think about those people talking about me or talking to me at all. It came in as non-reference chatter. The med makes you a bit groggy, but it's worth it for the peace that comes along with it. I will be continuing to use them for places when I get triggered, like the movie theater or a restaurant, both places where people can sit behind and around you, and psychosis can be produced believable and uncomfortable conversations. I also had my headphones and a source of music to play in case the meds just weren't cutting it. I find myself using my headphones constantly when I go out in public to put up a barrier to accidentally overhearing people's innocuous conversations. If I head to the store and worry that I'm going to have points of reference just because I'm there to get some radishes, then I'm going to use my headphones with something enjoyable playing and do my best to limit my time in store to a song or two. You can also shop at odd hours at 24-hour stores, including the 2 to 4 a.m. slot. That works really, really well. Self-checkouts are a blessing for this because you don't have to talk to anyone other than if the machine makes an error. For the airplane ride, there are times where you're forced to sit in a specific seat, and oftentimes where you get to pick your seat, like on SA. When you have the chance to pick your seat, then it's worth paying the minimal extra fee to get on early and make your way to the back of the plane where people are only going to sit next to you and in front of you. It cuts out the possibility of people sitting behind you and becoming points of reference or delusional conversation. While on the plane, things like headphones and something to keep your hands busy are important. The more stimulation you can bring yourself that's strong enough to limit interference from the voices or delusion, the better. Video games, audiobooks, a sketchbook, or a deck of cards can all be used by you or shared with the people you're traveling with to pass the time. If you're not needing auditory measures, then a book can keep you busy as well. I find it best to have something on so I can't hear those around me while I do something that takes a little bit of thought, like writing or drawing. It keeps me focused inside my one-seated bubble and means that if I am overhearing things clearly, then there's no possibility of it due to the noise of the airplane and my own noise. I know that I'm likely hallucinating and need to take a deep breath and try to relax. The flight will eventually end and you'll be able to leave the uncomfortableness in the seat when you go off. I don't know about you, but when I do have paranoid moments nowadays, it'll be 30 seconds of someone chattering behind me or coughing as I walk by, and then my meter goes full out code red. It happens in stores on occasion, and I found that by moving from the area to a place where things in the store that are more interesting or calming to myself is the best method. Once you're out of the simulation danger zone, you can take a minute to settle yourself down and recompose yourself. I have a tendency to beeline it away from the stimulation, and those with me may have to catch up. It's mildly frustrating to them the first time, but once you've discussed while you're doing it, then it shouldn't be a huge deal as long as you don't flat out run away and ditch them in the middle of the aisle. Speaking of that, there are times when you need to talk to your significant other or whoever about what they can do to help you. It's hard being the lover of someone with a schizo disorder, but those that do their research and learn to help one another when things get bad and enjoy each other when times are good can handle most of anything the conditions can throw at them. December 31st, 2017. Wait. 8/20, 255.6, 10/13, 272, November 277, highest of the year, 11/15, 265, 12/31, 268. Hi everybody. So I've made a new store called animalquest.shop, and I made my first shirt, Barkland Reading, at the Amberstone's house, and I would ask that you go and buy those there. I'll make a few bucks each time you buy something from there, and I have men, women's, baby clothing, and buttons, as well as other accessories, including dog bandanas, which I think are pretty cool. And I'll be adding more merch every week or two for that store as the stories progress and the sequels are written and read. I'll do the same for Divergent Mind. The link again is animalquest.shop. The link for Divergent Mind will be divergentmind.shop as well. Thank you so much. Jay. Okay, well, I'm taking a break, so I might as well do some ads. This is my first one, so bear with me. So, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That's pretty cool. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And all you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Please visit anchor.fm/divergentmind to leave a message so that I may get back to you. Thank you. Have a nice day. So Anchor is asking me to ask you to support me financially. I would ask that you go to my Patreon to do that, which is patreon.com/divergentmind. It means you can either become a monthly subscriber at a different tier of $1 to $3 to $5. I'm not looking for a lot. I'm not asking for a lot. I'm not asking for anything. This is going to go at the end of my podcast. I don't like it when podcasts straight up ask you for money when I'm doing okay. Well, I'm not doing okay. I'm surviving now to the point that I can make this. I would love to be able to make improvements to this by, say, getting... So basically, I'm running off an iPad, and I would like to improve it by getting different things that would make it better. Maybe some headphones that monitor output, or a better mic, though the mic I got was from J-Wife, so I might not even use the better mic. You know what I mean? It's all about whatever I need at the time, but really it's just to get healthy again, because I'm currently over 300 pounds and I don't want to die that young. I would really like to be able to afford some vegetables so I can go back to my vegetarian diet, because being this big sucks. And I'm happy to sit in a chair all day, but I really got to walk my butt off, literally. So that's what the money would be for. It would be for healthy food, because I can't afford it. I can afford ramen and pasta and rice and beans, but I can't live on carbs, because that's how you get this big on antipsychotics. Junk food and carbs, which is just cheap and plentiful around me. So I would like to leave my house and just lose some weight. And to do that, I would like to go to the store and buy some vegetables, please. But you don't have to do anything. I'm not asking you to. I'm not begging. I'll figure it out on my own. Much pleasure, Jay. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know that I have a YouTube channel called Taught Myself. and that I've decided to start selling merch already with a phrase that my brother showed me saying, "My disability is invisible," of which I made a hat for myself. So I decided to make hats, shirts, hoodies, for both men and women on Spreadshirt.com. All you have to do is search for "My disability is invisible." It's in green, and that's mine. You'll know it's me because when you click the sale icon, the same little Divergent Mind icon comes up. And I hope you'll support me. I make about $5 per shirt or per sale. Everything else goes to Spreadshirt. But that's okay because it's still a better deal than a lot of other places. And I really hope you'll support me. Come check me out on the YouTube. Teach me how to do that properly so I can have a community there too. And I await your response. Have a lovely day. Jay.
Hey people, take a listen to the Divergent Mind podcast. You get both insight into living with a serious mental illness and get to listen to a lovely tale about a journey cute little animals need to take. Don't miss out, and remember, divergent minds don't need to think alike.
Please go to ratethispodcast.com/divergentmind and tell me what you think. Thank you very much. Yours truly, Jay.